Let us take this in right here and right now, that beautiful song. There is only love that will set me free. Pure love. I invite you right here and right now to center yourself in your chairs or wherever you're at online, removing all things from your lap or around you. Gently close your eyes or lower them. Feel the breath. That is a beautiful demonstration of love from our Creator, breathing us with an intelligence. Right here and right now, we tap in, tune in, turn on to that intelligence, to that pure love, to that light. We are part of, not separate from, this one breath, this one heartbeat, this one humanity, all that is. And right here and right now, we invoke our mental and physical capacity to be at this service, mindful, awake, aware, engaged. We recognize the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living, for our sound team, our music director, our minister, the practitioners, you, the participant and congregant, for saying yes to this now moment, for engaging and being uplifted, just like that fantastic sunshine, for it's sunny every day of the year somewhere on the planet. So we take in the vastness and we bring it home to this now moment, and we say yes to whatever is ours to explore, discover, renew, refresh, and experience. And for this and so much more, seen and unseen, we give deep thanks. And please join me in saying, and so it is. Breathe that in. Feel that love. It is only love. It's so simple. I've asked Tiffany to join me in lighting our candles, flames of oneness. Our candle lighters go by many names. They're Vanna White of the lighting of candles. Yeah. So we are an interfaith gathering, a spiritual community that honors all teachings and all spiritual teachers. So let us begin with the first candle, Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Shamanic traditions, honoring the belief and practices of all indigenous people, the way of pristine spirituality. Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Judaism, honoring the ethical path of sacred law. Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of pure love. Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practices of universal spiritual principle. Our final candle is the healing candle of love and peace. I want to invite you right here and right now to lower your eyes or close them, and in the stillness of your own mind, bring to awareness the name of anyone, person, place, thing, circumstance you wish to include in the healing flames of pure love, peace, and light. Let us breathe that in. Let us feel that breath. Let us open our hearts and our minds. And now when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And now that our flames of faith are fully lit, we move forward into our celebration and service, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Our inspirational quote for today is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm going to read it once, and then you can repeat it after me because it's so short. It's worth repeating. For every happy minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of your happiness. So repeat after me. For every minute, you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of your happiness. And so it is. Now for some more special music.
Let there be less of me, let there be more of thee, less of the human, more of the divine. Less that belongs to me, more that is thine, more of God's nature, and less that is mine. Order and harmony now are in place. Where there is harmony, discord will cease. Where there is harmony, there will be peace. Not personality, individuality, more of the Spirit self shining through me. Teach me humility, let me your servant be. Give me serenity, restless and free. Order and harmony now are in place. Where there is harmony, discord will cease. Where there is harmony, there will be peace. Let there be less of me, let there be more of thee. Less of the human, more of the divine. Less of the human, more of the divine.
Less of the human, more of the divine. That is awesome. Let's give it up for them. Come on. Thank you, Erin, for leading the flock. And if you want to join the songbirds, see her after service or email the center. Well, welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Woohoo! Sunshine! Yes, summer's here. Okay. I know we're among families, so I don't have to do the welcome packets. That's great. We do have a few, standard announcements. We're always here to support you in prayer. Number one thing that we do here. So at this time, I'd like Rev Don, my fellow practitioners to stand. We have Ann, Judy, Bob, Robert, Linda, myself. We are here to pray you up after service. Otherwise, you can fill out the blue form on the prayer box, old school style, but we'll take it anyway. Put it in the box. You can go online. You can also go online, and if you're not already engaged in our newsletter, sign up, because there we have all the offerings. Just FYI, Reverend Linda does every week at 5:30. She does an online meditation. We have prayer support on Saturday. We have visioning here at the center. So there's a lot of activities. Highly recommend that you avail yourselves to that. We're trying to cut down on the paper that we mail out and use. Another thing I'd like to put in, if you don't have one, the magazine. 94 years in the making. It's got everything. Affirmations, daily guides, review on books, and a whole lot more. Speaking online, we have our own YouTube channel that you may or may not know about. It has all the Sunday talks. We also are streaming live now through Facebook. And with that, let us give it up for our sound team in the back. They've got some pretty heavy-duty fairy dust that they can spread around and make it all happen. And we appreciate that, because we would not be able to connect without their connection. All right, so we want to let you know our center does on a monthly basis, we give to a charity. We are the Alaska Center, so we give across the state. And we decide this, so if you have something that you think we might want to consider, it's done by committee. Just send us an email to Rev Dawn. But this month, we are recognizing and giving 5% back of our offerings to the Homer Community Food Pantry. So it's a gift, and we're delighted to give the gift. And we get letters, and Rev Dawn has read them, so we get great acknowledgments. I think that's it for me. These are our times. Thank you, Erin, there is no minister's moment today. Instead, we're just going to go for some more great music, and then Rev Dawn.
a place where you can always go. Come with me. And it's alright to let your feelings show. Come with me. What a pleasant journey, isn't very far. We can go together, stay right where you are. Now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart. There is a place where you can be yourself. Come with me. There is a place where you can free yourself. Come with me. And you know it's waiting, not so far away. Need no reservations, we could go today. Now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart. And the light shines through each window, and the door is open wide, and each question has an answer if you only look inside. There is a place where every sorrow ends. Come with me. Where every hope and every truth begins. Come with me. What a pleasant journey, isn't very far. We can go together, stay right where you are. Now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart. Now it's time to start. It's right here in your heart.
Thank you, Jessica, Aaron. That was beautiful. Thank you so very, very much. And hats off to the choir. You guys sound great today. Wow, you're on fire. Thank you, choir. Okay, imagine this. You are leaving the grocery store. Your arms are full. You've got 2 big bags of groceries, and you are walking to your car. And as you get close to your car, you kind of come around the edge, and someone brusquely bumps into you, hits you pretty hard. You clutch your groceries so you don't drop them all. In the process of that, you kind of shift your balance a little bit. You adjust for that, and out beneath your feet go down, and down you go. Boom. You can hear the glass tinkling inside your paper grocery bags. And then you can feel the ooze of the egg juice dripping through the 18 eggs you just bought. And in that moment, you're angry. You are really angry. And what inside of you at that moment is just to stand up and say to this person, "Why don't you watch where you're going, you idiot, you fool, you knocked me down, knocked all my groceries all over the place." And you're really angry. And then you happen to look down and you see this person is in that same egg juice, also has groceries all over. And then you look down and see the white cane. realize that this person had no opportunity to watch where he or she was going. So today's talk, what we really want to talk about is how we can make that shift from anger to understanding without having to go through that. Our theme for this month has been our emotions. And today we're looking at the emotion of anger. I have 3 major points today. 1, what is anger? Number 2, how is the best way to deal with angry feelings? And then we're going to have a little example. Again, we'll go back to Esther Hicks and look at some maybe ways to shift how we're looking at things and we can dealing with anger. So first of all, what is anger? According to the Journal of Scientific Review of Mental Health Practice, spring-summer of 2007, anger is a negative emotional state that is often associated with and contributes to maladaptive behavior. Or we can talk to Howard Casanovi, who says anger is a negative feeling that is typically associated with hostile thoughts, physical arousal, and maladaptive behaviors. We got that word again, maladaptive behaviors. To me, however, anger is typically a secondary emotion. Underneath anger, there is almost always another primary emotion. And I came up with this story. Imagine yourself driving down the road, and you know that your exit is coming up fairly soon, and you think probably ought to get over into the right lane so I can make a smooth exit. And so you look in your rear view mirror, you look in the mirror, you look in the side mirror, and it looks good. You put on your blinker and you start to move over. And just as you start moving over, you hear a horn, and the guy behind you has to hit his brakes to keep you from hitting him. He was right there in your blind spot and you didn't see him, and you started to pull right into him. Well, let's fast forward 2, 3, or 5 years, and you're driving down the freeway, and all of a sudden the guy in front of you starts going, blinker comes on, he starts moving over, he's coming right into you. You hit your brakes so he doesn't plow into you, and you avoid the accident, but what fills you is anger. That dumbass was going to drive right into me. God, he doesn't even know where he's going. Okay, we experience this anger, but what is the emotion that maybe that's behind that? And I submit that it might be fear. Fear that, that could happen to me too. And that's not a good thing. Maybe it is fear. Maybe I'm not as good a driver as I think I am. So I think that this idea that anger is a secondary emotion really has some validity to it. And I got the words of Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now. Where there is anger, there is always pain underneath. So we've got this, let's see, there's one other quote that I want to do that I think also helps us to define anger. This is from Charles Spielberger, noted doctorate in psychology. Anger is an emotional state that varies in intensity from mild irritation to intense fury and rage. I think it's that intense fury and rage that leads us to the aforementioned maladaptive behavior. So anger, we've got at this continuum from mild irritation to rage. We have this idea that it's a secondary emotion, and it is can be associated with maladaptive behavior, with really bad behavior. So we have an idea now of what we're talking about in terms of anger. So our next point is, how do we deal with these feelings? And I submit there are 3 ways that we can deal with angry feelings. We can express them, expressing. We can suppress them, bury them, push them down, or we can try calming techniques. So let's look at them individually. Expressing. I talked to a gentleman earlier this week when I was thinking about this talk about this subject of anger and whatnot, and he relayed a particularly obnoxious situation where he had an example of extremely poor customer service. He had gone to this place for the purpose of purchasing certain goods and services, and described what it is he wanted. They took measurements, they did everything, and he got a quote for doing this. And he says, okay, I obviously don't have that on me. I will go home and get a check and do some stuff and I'll be back. Okay, fine. He comes back 30 minutes later. His customer service representative that talked to him the first time was gone and was replaced by a rather surly, grouchy gentleman who informed him that the price was going to be 1.5 times what he had been quoted. And he said, well, you know, I have a quote here, you know, and I expect you to honor it. He said, I don't care. I'm not going to honor it. Well, yeah. No, I don't have to. I don't have to do anything. I'm not going to honor that. Well, if there's an error here, can we kind of work around it? No. Hey, listen, if you don't want to pay this what it is, go buy it somewhere else. Knowing fully this was the only place in Alaska you could get this particular goods and services. Well, at that point, I can tell you what my reaction would be, and it probably wasn't very ministerial. I would hear Mrs. Fleming in the background. That's not very ministerial. The Journal of Scientific Review of Mental Health Practice, once again, says the instinctive natural way to express anger is to respond aggressively. Anger is a natural adaptive response to threats. It inspires powerful, often aggressive feelings and behaviors which allow us to fight and defend ourselves when we are attacked. A certain amount of anger is therefore necessary to our survival. So certainly one way to respond to this is aggressively. And that's how I think many of us would do. However, the gentleman I talked to did not. He took another path, and that was to be assertive rather than aggressive. And so his approach was, okay, sir, we have a problem here. How can we solve this? How can we work together to solve this? And his response was, I don't care. I don't have a problem. You have the problem. So he then tried better communication. I'll try to communicate better. And he said, well, perhaps you don't understand, but I have this written quote for what it is, and I need to have that honored. I can't go any higher than that. No, I don't accept that. You're either going to pay this or not. Now you're in line here, so pay up. So then my friend, thought the next step would be humor. So he tried using a little humor. He says, well, I know we got a lot of inflation going on today, but 50% inflation in 20 minutes, that's a bit much, don't you think? He was trying to be humorous. No, that's it. Now, the other way that they list that we can deal with this is another technique that I often use, which is to just change your environment. And I would have bit off my nose to spite my face, and I would have gone without the goods and services rather than give that individual a satisfaction of buying it. Now, my friend did not do that. He went ahead. He did not change the environment, but what he did do is made sure he had a receipt, and he went back to the owner of the company and did that at a later time, but rather than have a confrontation right there. So we've got two different ways of expressing anger. One is aggressive and the other is assertive. To be assertive means expressing anger directly in an appropriate tone and without demeaning the other person. And this is the way that the psychologists advocate that we deal with anger. This is the preferred method. But I think that there is a third way of doing that. We don't need to, or there's a second way to do that, and that is suppressing it, just pushing our anger down. And in that, there can be something positive in that we can push that down and then redirect the emotion to a more positive way. An example of this could be the sisters that formed Victims for Justice here in Anchorage. Their mother and father and elderly aunt were murdered execution style in their home by a couple of teens high on drugs, and it was a horrible, horrible thing. And these two sisters were immediately filled with rage. You can understand how they would feel. But they were able to redirect that, and they redirected that by, number one, forming a public service agency to help people who have suffered at the loss of homicide, physical assault and homicide, and also by working to change the laws. Because at that time, there were a lot of laws in place. It's called the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, that have guarantees in place to protect the rights of the accused. There isn't anything to protect the rights of the victims. Victims, you're SOL. And they work to establish a victim's Bill of Rights. Through establishing those victims' Bill of Rights and by establishing an agency to help victims, Alaska became a model that other states copied throughout the United States. We were the leaders in that because these ladies had the wherewithal to redirect that anger into a positive way to go. Now, what happens if we suppress our anger and don't redirect it? Now, this was interesting, and it's kind of long, but it's worth doing. These are the physical reactions to unredirected anger: muscle tension, headache, increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, increased depression, arousal of the sympathetic nervous system leading to hormonal changes and neurochemical changes within the brain, increased respiration, perspiration, changes to the cardiovascular system leading to strokes and heart attacks, changes to the immune system, changes to our digestive system, and there is even a possible increase to some types of cancer. I do not recommend stuffing anger and not redirecting it in any way. Stuffing anger is not the way to go. So we have two different ways then of suppressing anger. One is very good, one is really, really bad. So the third way to deal with angry feelings is by calming. And by this, we mean to start off by controlling your inward response. And almost every one of the things that I read on this where they talked about calming, the first thing they said is get control of your breath. Deep breaths, big diaphragm breaths, not chest breath, big diaphragm breaths. Slow down and do it. Second thing is to realize that you, in many cases, cannot control a situation. The only thing that you can control is yourself. Once again, from our good friend, and this one was from I don't even do this. Howard Casanova. It's our buddy Casanova. He says, You can't get rid of or avoid the things or the people that anger you, nor can you change them, but you can learn to control your reactions. So we start off with that breathing. We realize that we can control our actions. And I put down the next thing that I think is useful is to remember the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Because in a lot of these situations where we find that we're angry, we can't do anything about it anyway. Accept the things we cannot change. The courage to change the things that we can, and then the wisdom to know the difference. Avoidance, the one where you just get up and leave, you don't do it. And another technique can be if you know that you're likely to find yourself in a position where you're going to be forced to be angry, just step away. Don't even go there. Send Mrs. Fleming or one of the kids. Do something, but don't put yourself in the situation. Physically relax. And then the real winner, and this is the one that came through in all of the different researches I did, from Casanova to the Journal of Psychiatry to all of these things, they come up with a big word. It is cognitive restructuring. And they say, oh yeah, cognitive restructuring. What is cognitive restructuring? Well, Ernest Holmes called it change your thinking. Change your thinking, change your life. And so what I'd like to do now is have an example of that. And we have been following the teachings of Abraham Hicks all month, and how different ways to take our little boat of life, and we're going down the river of life, and instead of trying to row upstream and fight the current, we turn around and let our little boat take us all the way down. And our boat, the current, will take us to our desired destination. So this is one of the examples that we came in here. Loss of a lover. My boyfriend, whom I've been living with for the last 2 years, moved out. We didn't agree on everything, and we did fight about some things, but nothing very serious. I thought that we were doing okay, and I can't believe that he doesn't want us to be together anymore. He swears that he's not going to be with someone else. But how can you supposedly love someone and then just suddenly move out for no reason? So we can see that this person is experiencing that anger. So how do we cognitively restructure how we're doing? How do we change our thinking? And the steps that we went through, and this is what, our fourth time of doing this, example that we've done it. We begin with where we're at. What am I feeling right in this moment? So begin with where we're at. I'm in a state of shock and depression. I don't know what to do. I can't believe that this has happened. I thought that he was the one. Why would he leave me on like that? Why would he pretend that he wanted to be with me forever? Can see where we are at that moment. Then we can change. We can try to move away from feelings of powerlessness and towards something that at least feels a little better. Well, this is the last time something like this is going to happen to me. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I'm glad he left, because he's clearly not who I thought he was. So even though these are negative statements, they do provide us some relief, what makes us feel a little bit better. We're starting to turn our little boat around a little bit, and then we can proceed to allow the boat to turn around and the current to carry us. Clearly, we aren't right for each other. There is no sense in wasting time figuring that out. It was an extremely clarifying situation for me. I've learned so much in such a short time. Thinking back, I could sort of see this coming. At the time, I didn't want to see it, but now I realize it had been coming. I'm not sorry that this has happened. Nothing really terrible has happened here. It's not a bad thing to find out that what I want is somewhere else. This relationship has helped me to define more clearly who I am and what I'm looking for. I'm starting to feel newly energized regarding relationships. I'm going to take my time as I move forward. There's no urgency to figuring this out. I'm happy to start having some breathing space. In a strange way, I'm looking forward to what comes next. I know that whatever comes next will be better than this relationship. Someday I will thank him for helping me to get clear about what I really want. However, that day is not the day. Well, maybe it is, a little. So now we've turned our little boat around, and when we open ourselves up to that divine awareness, it can carry us to our destination. Conclusion. We all get angry at something. It's good to know how to diffuse anger and a volatile situation for a peaceful outcome. We can help calm turbulence in a metaphorical anger storm by focusing on the eye of the storm, where there is peace and calm. By consciously cooling things down in a heated situation, the best resolution for all can be attained. And so it's this awareness of the eye in the storm, and that the nature of that eye is one of peace and serenity and calm. I invite my practitioner colleagues, my practitioners, fellow practitioners, to join me in holding our congregation in love and light, and just simply know that as we go through life, we encounter things that produce all kinds of emotions within us. And these emotions are simply the signs along the highway of life that are giving us directions on which way to go and what to do. And we don't need to let these signs destroy us. We don't need to let these signs hurt us. We just need to pay attention to them. We need to stare them in the eye and move through them. We need to realize that everyone and everything on this planet is moving in their own way at their own speed. Sometimes we bump into each other, but we can stop and pick up our groceries and help the other man up. Realize that all of the things that we encounter are part of this thing called life. When we come to the time when there's more month than there is paycheck, we know that we live in an abundant universe, and we have a way to make it through this. This universe will provide. We face health challenges. We know that there is that within us that is perfect. That part of us that is divine, that part of us that is perfect, can never be changed. And when we feel fear from separation, afraid of being alone, afraid of a failed relationship, we can turn our little boat around and welcome ourselves to a new and better experience. We can give thanks for our awareness of that power, that presence that is in our lives. So we just give thanks, we let it go, we let it be, and so it is.
There's it's all inside me, and I know I will find my way to the peace that is mine. All the love and the light I need wait for me here inside, inside.
Oh, you guys sound great today. Thank you. Now's the time in the service where we are afforded the opportunity to participate in one of our spiritual practices, that being the law of circulation. Judy's up here already with our affirmations. You'll join me in our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. Ta-da! Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Take it for the group.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God.
Awesome. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I trust in God. This is a time in our service where we're coming to a close. Thanks for joining us, whether you're online or in person. Beautiful sunshine. Take out all this inspiration, and next time you're driving and you feel a twinge of anger, you have some resources to call upon. Linda wanted to share about, we have a former person of our community, Susan Breakall, and her father's passing. So we'll just take a moment and just take that in and know that he's in good hands as he shakes off his physical form. And that she is surrounded, and that family is surrounded with serenity and peace. As any person who is experiencing transformation with someone who has passed in presence or is passing right here and right now. So let's just take that in. Yeah, we recognize the human moments because they're real. So as we bring our service to close this very moment, we just breathe in and recognize the breath, the full body breath. We recognize our moment together and the music and the inspiration. And as we move from this moment on to the rest of our day and the week ahead, just take to heart that we have full management of how we show up and participate in life. And it is a feeling state that we honor. Breathing deeply and pausing for the moment to see if this is ours to do and how we want to show up. And so for this and the many gifts of spirit, we give deep thanks. We give thanks for the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living and all the working parts of today's service. And for this and so much more, we say yes, and together we say, and so it is. So the affirmation that we can take with us is, repeat after me. I am tapped in.
I am tapped in.
I am tuned in.
I am tuned in.
I am turned on
I am turned on
to that infinite wellspring
to that infinite wellspring
of pure love,
of pure love,
inner peace,
inner peace,
and inner calm.
and inner calm.
And when the moment arises,
And when the moment arises,
I have
I have
access
access
to the infinite intelligence
to the infinite intelligence
that guides me
that guides me
and supports me
and supports me
into directing me
into directing me
to doing the right thing.
to doing the right thing.
And so it is.
And so it is.